So it's a little bit of a deeper dive into the what is your favourite football team? And this is one of the questions I don't really like. It's because it's just too partisan. But it doesn't mean that you can't answer the question. You can deflect that you don't necessarily follow a football team. But if you did follow a football team, this would be the reasons why. Okay, and this is what they're looking for. It's the reasons why you follow a particular football team, not just the fact that you have a favourite football team, that you've thought a little bit more about it. Okay, and we go into the decision process, and that's the first part of the decision is, are you going to answer this honestly or hypothetically? Are you going to say that this is my team, this is the team I hang my flag on, and whatever? The reason why it's partisan is because we all saw the reaction of the Liverpool fans once Manchester United had Vodafone sponsorship. Phones were thrown on the pitch, contracts were cancelled. Okay, so for me, to be honest, in reality, I've got two football teams that I followed. Okay, up until recently, there was never really a conflict. Potentially now there could be conflict. So my loyalty is being tested at the moment, which is quite an interesting dilemma. But why Manchester United? I'm not from Manchester. The original reason was because of George Best. That when I was younger, he was television personality and he had his own football show on television. So I probably saw more of George Best than I actually did of Manchester United. I probably knew more about George Best than I knew of Manchester United. But he was a Manchester United player. That's the team you support. Okay. In later years, and this probably becomes more relevant in the workplace, is Sir Alex Ferguson because of his background, his work ethic, his history, his management style, the way that he brings the youth academy that he didn't really set up, but the youth academy that he used to develop young players, and we saw the fruit of his labours in the 1999 Champions League final, the year of the treble. Um, Something quite incredible with the players that he had. And as an aside, the Sir Alex Ferguson autobiography just happens to be the book that I read before every single interview. So when the question comes about what is the book that I've read, what is the most recent book that I've read, it's always going to be the Sir Alex Ferguson autobiography. Funny one, that. Okay, and also the final one is Manchester United, best team in the world. Why wouldn't you want to identify with the best in the world? Second team is Wrexham. As I said, two teams I've got, which maybe I guess is the same for a lot of people, that you have your hometown team and you have a Premier League team. So yeah, Wrexham's my hometown. It's a team that I used to go to see regularly, as in, week out when I was younger. Um, because it's hometown, you've got a certain loyalty to your hometown. You can't help that. There's nothing you can do about that. And we had a lot of local players. The club used to come to my school to scout for players, and I lived around the corner from three of the players, Bobby Shinton, Graham Whittle and Billy Ashcroft, and we had other players living in the locality, and I used to see players in Tesco on a Thursday evening. A friend of mine from school, his girlfriend was going out with a player. Everything was very, very localised. Okay, and it felt like part of the family, that you would see people, you would see players and they'd recognise you. There I used to go, the players that lived around the corner, sponsorship day, it was brilliant because they used to sponsor me. And they knew who we were. So it was absolutely beautiful to feel part of the club, that there was some sort of identity. It was more Manchester United, you're very, very distant. Wrexham, you're very, very local. Okay, so you you felt you felt as if you were part of the family. Okay, another area is that we were the underdog. Everywhere we went, we were the underdog. It was the club that had to strive, had to work hard, that no one thought they were going to win. And there's something quite attractive about supporting the underdog. Also, for the question, prepare the negatives, that if something good interviewer is potentially going to ask you to push back. Maybe you're under a stress interview where they're simply going to throw back at you and ask you to talk about the negative. So with any of the research you're doing, you're always going to look at the two sides of the argument. Okay, negative hooliganism in the 1970s. Thankfully, it's been cleared up now, but it was a huge problem in the 1970s. The Glazers. This can be used in one of two ways. That either you can look at it as a positive way because it's a money-making machine for the Glazers, or it's a negative way because they're basically destroying the club in the pursuit of money. Okay, demotion. This is a sign of, it was negative that Manchester United were demoted in the 70s, but it's also a sign of your attitude in that you don't drop a team simply because they're going through a bad time. You're loyal. It's something that you simply can't change. You've got to stay with your team. And that, I think, is something that's possibly changed with younger people now, or the international fan base, that people can be a little bit more fickle. But for me, following a team, and I've followed Manchester United for 50 years, so yeah, loyalty. There was no women's team for a long, long time. You could look at this in a couple of ways, and I think the way that I try to look at it would be that the time wasn't quite right for it, that they wanted to be sure that when they built the team, it was the best team possible, that it wasn't something they were simply going to rush into, but while there was no official team, there was work in the background, that they were building a team, they were making sure that they had the infrastructure there, that it just wasn't an add-on, that the women's team was a proper, well-established team rather than something, an afterthought, which I think would be a little bit more insulting. Coming to the negatives of Wrexham, I'm a little bit torn on the Rob and Ryan influence. The money's good, the fame's good, the promotions are good, but it's still a small town. Is it sustainable? It would be great to see, and I think the modern world's changed, that if Rob and Ryan go, it's a great investment prospect that another wealthy organisation or another wealthy entity will take over the club. But it's starting to lose that local identity. It feels more like a global corporation and less like a local football club. Okay. The struggles of a small town. It is a small town. We were the underdogs, but we've taken on some of the great teams. I can remember going to games in the 70s, watching Wrexham playing in what was the Cup Winners' Cup at that time. We played some great European football. Had some great cup runs in the FA Cup. So yeah, it's a small town, but we've taken on some of the big boys and we've been able to hold our heads up high. So that's how I'd look at building the responses, going into the detail of the positives, the negatives, how you feel, how that fits in with you. And we can keep it away from the football team itself and build it more on the attributes of that particular team that you like. And the attributes are going to fit in more or less a lot of the football teams. It's not a good question for many, many reasons. Okay, the partisan is one. Second is that the answer can be applied to more or less any football team. So it's not really going to tell the interviewer anything quite specific or anything quite different about you. Okay, and secondly, if you don't support a team, you can phrase the answer, I don't follow football, but if I did, I would follow this particular team, and give your reasons for. In reality, building this answer takes a lot less time than this video. Okay, the explanation takes a significant amount of time. The actual planning of the answer takes a lot less. And once you've got the answer planned, you can take the concept of looking at the positives, looking at the negatives, and preparing your answer to any of the more random questions. And that's all it is looking at the random question to see what it's looking for. And what they are looking for is your justification of following a particular football team, or being an animal, or being a fruit, or whatever the question is, and how that aligns with the company. So doing your research into the company, clearly you've applied to them because it's a company that appeals to you. Why does it appeal to you? Because of their culture. how do you fit into that culture? That's perfectly clear. You can explain that to them. So it's just building the answer to make sure it fits with what the company's looking for. Okay, so that's the which football team do you follow and why. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you'd like any more videos like this, please let me know, and if you have any questions, drop a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.